Sir, what were the problems you were trying to solve when you innovated this technique?
So DASP is double anterior, single posterior delineation technique for your smile, silk and clear surgery. Some of the senior surgeons, they were landing up with complications क्योंकि dissection lenticule का वो properly नहीं हो पाता था. What I did is that I modified the technique of how we dissect.
Sir, what principles guide your decision to manage your hospital workflow very effectively?
See, the priority has to be given to two things. Number one is treating the patient right and making the experience of the patient in the hospital just as they are visiting a new home for themselves. Second aspect is treating your employees right, because your employees are going to treat your patients.
So my question is, what West can learn from India?
I think the biggest thing that the West can learn is man management, how to handle cases in volume.
In today's episode of Panels Decode, we sit down with Dr. Vikas Virwal, senior eye surgeon, Maulana Azad, medical college alumnus, UK-trained cornea and refractive surgeon with 10,000 plus eye surgeries. He is currently director at Shreya Eye Center, Indirapuram, and senior consultant at Yatharth Super Speciality Hospital, Greater Noida.
So the purpose of panels is to share stories. We as Indians, we do not lack intelligence, but we work on Western models of thinking. So personally, I wanted this show so that we can inspire younger generation of thinkers, practitioners to take on the thinking part. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting my invitation to be on the panels. Sir, before I start this podcast, let's go to your origin. Sir, what were the early influences which shaped your thinking and you chose medicine as your career?
So Satyam, thank you for having me here. The question that you have asked, actually उसका कोई बहुत complicated answer नहीं है. People think कि मेडिसिन में गए हैं तो नोबल कैरियर सोच के गए होंगे. एक्चुअली जब आप उस यंग एज में होते हो 11th-12th, तो आपकी थिंकिंग इतनी डेवलप ही नहीं हुई होती है. मेरे लिए कोई ऐसा थॉट नहीं था कि मुझे नोबल कैरियर चूज़ करना है, मनी कैरियर चूज़ करना है या मेडिसिन क्यों लेना है. It was sort of an automatic path that happened. My father was in civil services and probably he wanted to become a doctor. तो मेरा elder brother जो है, he got into medicine first. He is 2 years elder to me. And वो partly मुझे influence किया. And उससे भी ज़्यादा ये था कि father ने बोला कि तुम ना मैथ्स विद बायो ले लो तो उससे सारे ऑप्शंस ओपन रहेंगे, राइट. सो वंस आई टुक दैट, माय इंटरेस्ट इन बायो डेवलप्ड एंड दैट शेप द वे टूवर्ड्स मेडिसिन इन दैट सेंस. और मेरे साथ क्या है कि आई टेंड टू enjoy whatever I start doing and learning. So once I started learning bio more and more, then I felt that this is the right path for me. And that shaped me and moved me towards medicine. And there are days on which I regret taking medicine, but those days are far fewer than the days that I am thankful that I chose this field.
So, sir, आपने you choose medicine. Then, what moment turned you that you chose ophthalmology?
So again, not that it was not the first choice for me. My first choice would have been a surgical branch and probably ortho. But India में ranking बहुत decide करती है चीज़ों को. So this was always an option, like ortho, then opthal, and उसके बाद surgery, general surgery. So when I decided that ortho, I was not getting one of the premium institutes, and with opthal, I went into Maulana Azad Medical College, which is one of the top 5 institutes of the country, as you know. So it was not just that. I felt many advantages when I analyzed the field as such. एक तो जो surgeries हैं, they are micro surgeries, very fine surgeries, right? So they require a lot of skill. Plus, it's both a medical as well as a surgical branch. It's not a pure surgical branch. A lot of aspects of management, treatment, and everything of ophthalmology is medical aspect. So it had the combination of both surgery as well as medical aspect. Thirdly, I could sense that ophthalmology is a very fast growing field in India. And as we can see even today, some of the very, very big chains of hospitals are actually eye hospitals. So this is a very fast growing branch and it's a very enjoyable branch. I love doing my work every day, going to the center, going to the clinic, doing surgeries every day. And people might think कि रोज़ कैटरैक्ट ही तो करना है, रोज़ रिफ्रैक्टिव सर्जरी तो करना है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. We do corneal transplants also, we do glaucoma surgeries also, we do corneal tear trauma cases also. So every day brings in a new challenge and there's no monotony. So that's the best part about medical field as such कि आप IT या कई fields में होता है कि monotony हो जाती है, accounts में, IT में, finance में, but medical field में every day brings in a new challenge. So you enjoy the work so much that even with the challenges, you like doing it and you love doing it every day.
So, sir, as you have talked about, you love facing challenges. Sir, during your residency, sir, what were the major challenges you faced?
So residency is one of the toughest period for any medico, and be it any branch, it is a very, very tough period. हम लोग बाकी ब्रांचेस और वर्क कल्चर की बात करते हैं, बट हेल्थ केयर में वर्क कल्चर का यू नो रिफॉर्म आना बहुत ज़रूरी है. अभी हमने देखा कि इंडिगो की सारी फ़्लाइट्स कैंसिल हो गई बिकॉज वही गवर्नमेंट ने न्यू नॉर्म्स निकाले थे कि इतना रेस्टिंग पीरियड होना चाहिए. ऐसे ही नॉर्म्स हेल्थ केयर में कब आएंगे ये पता नहीं. ड्यूरिंग आवर रेजिडेंसी डेज इट वाज अ वेरी यूजुअल थिंग कि आप वीक में 2 बार तो ऐसा होता था कि you start working at 8 a.m. today and you land up back home next day 8 p.m. So like 36 hours continuous work. And overnight also you're operating, seeing patients in the emergency, especially if you are, you know, doing your residency from a high volume government hospital where throughout the day and night patients are coming in. And we had a 24-hour emergency. और कुछ ब्रांचेस में सर्जिकल ऑर्थो ब्रांचेस में जनरल सर्जरी में मेडिसिन में तो कई बार 48 आवर्स इवन 72 आवर्स तक कंटिन्यूस ड्यूटीज़ होती हैं. एंड दिस इज़ द रियलिटी. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट 1 कॉलेज 2 कॉलेजेस. ऑलमोस्ट ऑल बिग कॉलेजेस will have this kind of residency programs in which we are working 36 to 48 hours, then taking an 8-hour rest and then coming back to work again. While many studies have shown that you do require breaks in between, बट हमें ये भी समझना पड़ेगा कि इंडिया में डॉक्टर्स की बहुत शॉर्टेज है. एंड वो ट्रेनिंग का एस्पेक्ट जो है वो इम्पॉर्टेंट भी है क्योंकि एज अ मेडिको यू टेंड टू हैव स्टिल आई हैव वेरी लॉन्ग आवर्स. आई माइट नॉट हैव 36 hours, but on an average, I mean 10 hours, 12 hours a day is quite routine. And I have to handle it many days के वो 10-12 hours हो गया. किसी दिन होता है कि 9 hours पे ख़त्म हो गया. So आपको वो resilience develop करने की ज़रूरत होती है. And that residency gives you that resilience. So I think residency में challenges तो बहुत आते हैं. सबसे बड़ा challenge तो यही है कि आपको सीखना है. And बाकी फील्ड्स में सीखने में ना रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थोड़ी कम होती है. आप गलती करोगे कोई सीनियर रेक्टिफाई कर देगा. हेयर व्हेन यू आर ऑपरेटिंग ऑन द पेशेंट, इट्स योर फर्स्ट केस और इट्स योर 10th केस और इट्स योर 50th केस, यू आर नॉट एक्सपीरियंस्ड. ऑब्वियसली योर सीनियर्स आर देयर टू गाइड यू, बट दैट पेशेंट हैज़ पुट दैट ट्रस्ट इन यू टू ऑपरेट एंड यू हैव टू यू नो बी गुड इनफ कि वो ट्रस्ट आप ब्रेक ना होने दें. एंड एज आई से टू माई juniors and fellows and the PGs that I have trained when I was in medical college, कि आपको इस बात की बहुत प्रिविलेज फील करनी चाहिए कि कोई पेशेंट चाहे वो पुअर हो चाहे वो रिच हो, वो आपके पास आया है आपसे ट्रीटमेंट करवाने या आपको उसका ट्रीटमेंट करने का एक मौका मिल रहा है. एंड यू शुड ट्रीट दैट पेशेंट लाइक योर ओन फैमिली. इफ़ यू हैव दैट इन माइंड कि ये पेशेंट चाहे वो पुअर है रिच है, मैं उसको ऐसे ही ट्रीट करूँगा कि जैसा मेरा फैमिली मेम्बर हो, तो आप कभी गलत नहीं करोगे. सो आई थिंक दैट एस्पेक्ट इफ़ यू डेवलप ड्यूरिंग योर रेजिडेंसी इटसेल्फ, द रिस्पेक्ट फॉर एवरी पेशेंट, वेदर इट्स पुअर वेदर इट्स रिच, डजेंट मैटर. गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में हो तो पुअर ही आते हैं ज़्यादातर पेशेंट, बट यू हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट दैट पेशेंट क्योंकि वो आपके पास आया है एक होप लेकर कि आप उसको सही करके भेजोगे. यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड द राइट ट्रीटमेंट फॉर द पेशेंट. वहाँ पर ये चीज़ नहीं होनी चाहिए कि आई एम सीइंग 100 पेशेंट्स. आप 100 देख रहे हो, सबको पता है वी आर ओवरवर्कड इन मेडिकल कॉलेजेस एंड गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स, लेकिन वो 100 के 100 को अपना जो बेस्ट एफर्ट दे सकते हो विद एन ऑनेस्टी इन माइंड कि जो चीज़ मुझसे हैंडल नहीं हो सकती आई विल रेफर टू माई सीनियर, राइट. सो वहाँ पर जो रेजिडेंसी में सीखने वाली चीज़ यही है कि इट्स अ प्रिविलेज टू ट्रीट एनी पेशेंट दैट हैज़ कम टू यू फॉर एन एडवाइस एंड यू ऑनर दैट प्रिविलेज and you do right by the patient.
So, sir, as you were talking about that senior thing, sir, during residency, who was your mentor which shaped your thinking a lot?
Okay, so there have been multiple mentors because medicos की ट्रेनिंग एक तो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होती है. तो सिर्फ रेजिडेंसी की बात नहीं है. रेजिडेंसी के बाद आई वेंट फॉर फेलोशिप, तो वहाँ अलग मेंटर्स थे. फेलोशिप के बाद आई केम टू अ कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल, वहाँ पर भी अलग मेंटर्स थे. और अभी भी मैं कहता हूँ कि अभी भी मुझे रोज़ कोई ना कोई अलग मेंटर मिल जाता है. रेजिडेंसी के ड्यूरिंग two of my senior consultants were there, Dr. Ritu Arora and Dr. J.L. Goyal. Those two really shaped my thinking, and not in terms of how to treat the patient. Obviously, वो तो हर डॉक्टर अपने जूनियर्स को ट्रेन करते ही हैं. The training, most important aspect of training is developing a learning attitude and developing the right attitude towards the patients. ये दो एस्पेक्ट अगर आपने सीख लिए तो आपको कोई और सिखाए या नहीं सिखाए, आप सीख जाओगे, बिकॉज यू हैव डेवलप्ड अ लर्निंग एटीट्यूड. आज के टाइम में हेल्थ केयर जैसे एडवांस कर रहे हैं ना, जो हमने 10 साल पहले सीखा था, हो सकता है 5 years डाउन द लाइन हम कुछ और ही कर रहे हैं उसके अलावा. तो वो लर्निंग शायद हमारी उतनी यूज़फुल नहीं हो. लेकिन अगर हमने एटीट्यूड वही रखा कि वी हैव टू कीप लर्निंग द न्यू थिंग्स, वी हैव टू कीप द राइट एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स द पेशेंट्स, वी हैव टू ट्रीट एवरीवन विद रिस्पेक्ट, वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट आवर लिमिटेशंस, और ईगो नहीं आने देनी है उस चीज़ में कि जो चीज़ आपको नहीं आती वो ज़बरदस्ती करे जाओ, तो देन यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू फेल, राइट. सो आई थिंक दोज टू पीपल रियली gave me that confidence and the learning attitude that is needed to grow throughout life.
So, sir, as you have worked in a corporate setup also, then you have worked in a government setup also, now you are managing your own practice also. Sir, what is the difference between working in these setups and how it shaped you as a person?
So, very nice question, Satyam, because ये बहुत confusing होता है for all the young doctors that which path should they choose. And fortunately for me, not just government hospital, I worked in a top government hospital. I worked in a top institute in LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad, which is one of the top institutes of the country. I worked in a corporate chain for a long period. I worked in a multi-speciality hospital also. And I have started my own practice as well. So, अगर मैं इन सब चीज़ों में देखूं तो देखो सबके पॉजिटिव्स एंड नेगेटिव्स हैं. जहाँ पर मिस्टेक होती है ना, वहाँ पर मिस्टेक क्या करते हैं यंग डॉक्टर्स या यंग सर्जन्स, is they think that what the other person is doing and what they are trying to achieve, you should also go and try and achieve that. Because all of these places put importance to some things or the other and few things are neglected. कोई भी चीज़ इसमें परफेक्ट नहीं है. आप इंस्टीट्यूट में प्रैक्टिस करोगे, यू आर मोर रिसर्च एंड एकेडमिक ओरिएंटेड. आप गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में प्रैक्टिस करोगे या गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में रहोगे एज अ प्रोफेसर, डायरेक्टर प्रोफेसर, इट्स मोर टुवर्ड्स टीचिंग as well as treating poor patients, and you gain a lot from that. अगर आप corporate chain में work करोगे, ease of pressure is very less. आपका stress free होते हो, आपको manage कुछ नहीं करना. You just have to treat patients, go back home. Treat patients, go back home. So it's a very smooth life, right? आप private practice में आओगे, if you are doing well, the money factor increases. But that's not the important part. The important part is the independence. You're not dependent on others for validation. You are dependent only on your patients. तो अगर आप patients को अच्छे से treat कर रहे हो, then your practice is going to grow, right? So हर चीज़ के अपने positive और negative हैं. दिक्कत मैं क्या देखता हूँ सबसे ज़्यादा, कि आप दूसरे की positives देखते हो and then you feel envious of that. उसका तो इतना नाम हो गया, वो तो हर conferences में जाकर बोलता है, यहाँ पर आप सिर्फ patients देख रहे हो. But patients तो आपको ज़्यादा जान रहे हैं. वो कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में बोलते हैं बिकॉज दे हैव चोजन दैट पाथ ऑफ गोइंग टुवर्ड्स रिसर्च, राइट? एंड यू हैव टू डिसाइड फॉर योर सेल्फ वॉट यू वॉन्ट आउट ऑफ लाइफ. द बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक दे मेक इज दे लेट अदर्स डिसाइड what should they want to become successful.
Yeah.
So your definition of success has to come from within and from you. For someone, money is secondary. The faith of the patients and treating poor patients give them immense satisfaction. For someone, building a name in their field in research and becoming a top scientist in that field, innovating new ideas, that is what gives them the most satisfaction. They don't get satisfaction so much by treating the patients, but by innovating new things that can help even more patients when other doctors adopt those techniques. So unless you make your own path and choose what success is to you, you will always be confused and you will keep letting others decide for you that, okay, you are not successful because you are not doing this. Right?
Sir, as you are managing your own practice, sir, what principles guide your decision to manage your hospital workflow very effectively?
Right. So that is very important, especially for any private practitioner, that the center or the hospital that you're running, how you can make it functional smoothly. How can you make it function smoothly? See, the priority has to be given to two things. Number one is treating the patient right and making the experience of the patient in the hospital just as they are visiting a new home for themselves. Right? That is the first aspect. Second aspect is treating your employees right. Because your employees are going to treat your patients. I see the patient when everything has been done, first by the employees. And then I see the patient, give my advice, discuss with patient their problem, advise what the solutions are, and we take it forward from there. But 80% of the time, my staff and my employees are the ones who are dealing with the patient. Right? If I'm not treating them right, then they are not going to treat the patients right. And that is going to reflect onto me because eventually they are representing me. Okay? So I think you have to take it in this way that, again, the same thought that will come to my mind. If you treat, and this is what I tell to my employees as well, if you treat when the patient walks into your clinic and even before the patient walks and calls you for appointment, if you treat the patient like you are treating your own family, then you will never go wrong. So you will not believe that even my staff, when the patient comes asking for water, if a patient is an old patient, offering them wheelchair straight away, making them move from one place to the other very smoothly, holding their hand to make sure that they don't fall or they don't trip or they are able to sit properly, discussing every aspect of the treatment, this drop we are putting and this will have this effect on your eyes, are you okay with that? Every step when you are talking and communicating with the patient, you are going to enhance the experience. So I think communication between employees, between the person who is managing the center, the doctor or whosoever is managing the center, and the patients. So that communication, if it is effective, the functioning becomes effective. Where communication breaks down, that appointment has been given for 1 o'clock, doctor is going to come at 1:30. There are 5 appointments which have been given within 20 minutes. Right? That is breakdown of communication. So I think biggest aspect is right communication in the right way at the right time and done with the right person. So that is going to make the functioning very smooth.
So, sir, in diagnosing a patient,
Right.
for example, someone visits your hospital and he's having cataract, right? And you have to diagnose that patient. Sir, what are the steps you take to accurately diagnose that patient?
Right. So ours is quite an advanced center. If we are going to talk about cataract, but I will also talk about some other diseases. So when the patient walks into the center, you obviously do the initial formalities, get the patient settled down, make them do a little bit of entry for what their name, age, and all those things. And then you start with the initial workup. The initial workup entails that you check the eye pressure of the patient, you check the glass power of the patient, then the optometrist checks the vision and sees how far the patient can see and how much we can improve the vision just by giving glasses or changing the glasses of the patient. Once that is done, the optometrist at some level is able to detect that the vision is not improving completely, or whether it is improving completely, but the patient is not satisfied with the clarity of the vision. So then the patient visits me first. And then I examine on the slit lamp microscope, which is a microscope through which we see, and we see an enlarged view of the eye. And we can see the inside of the eye. At this time, the patient is not dilated, right? And we have a microscope which has an attachment for photography as well. So we are able to take the pictures of the eye, and we are able to show it to the patient that this is the problem that they are having, and it is at this stage. After this, we send the patient for dilation if it's a cataract patient, and if the patient is planning for surgery in the coming days, then we send for some investigations and then dilate the patient. So check the power of the lens that we are going to put. So that should be done before dilating the patient. When the patient dilates, then again I see it in my chamber, and we again take photographs of their cataract, their lens, which shows the cataract. And the patient and their relatives are able to see, okay, this is how a clear lens looks at a young age, and this is how my relative's lens looks, and it's showing cataractus changes. The lens has become a little yellow and a whitish, and that is causing the obstruction to the vision. Because they are able to see it for themselves, that distrust between doctor and patient is not there. And there's a complete transparency. So a lot of times I get to hear from patients that they have already been diagnosed with cataract, and the doctor told that इसको 1 week में करवा लेना वरना ये फट जाएगा और आपकी आई में प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. But cataract grows very, very slowly. It's like graying of your hair. So when you see your gray hair, I have started developing graying of hair. So few hairs I have been seeing gray for quite some time. But the process is very slow. Now I know that there will be a period of 1 year or so where the graying of hair will happen faster. Same goes with cataract. It is just like graying of your lens. So the lens becomes whitish and yellowish. It happens very, very slowly. So when doctor says that jaldi karwa lo, varna fat jayega, that can only happen when your cataract is already mature. If it's an immature and early to moderate stage cataract where you are still able to see till quite a distance, 5, 6 meters, 7 meters, you are able to see, then there's no possibility that in 1, 2, 3 weeks or 1 month, this will happen. So this is what I feel, that this leads to distrust between the patients and the doctors. And for that, we have that imaging system and complete transparency with the patient, so that patient feels and knows that what I am saying, I have done the photography in front of them, the relative, and they are seeing what I am seeing in the microscope, they are seeing on the screen. So they believe and they know that what is the problem that they are facing. Now, when you asked about in terms of treating and diagnosing, one of the biggest mistakes for not cataract, because it's quite a simple disease, but many diseases doctors make, it is what we call as diagnostic momentum. So what it is that patient has been diagnosed with keratoconus somewhere, or patient has been diagnosed with herpes viral keratitis somewhere. And the doctor immediately first sees the document of previous doctor and says, okay, you are already a known case of herpes keratitis. And they will write that in their note.
Sir, what is herpes keratitis? Can you just explain to the audience?
Yeah.
And me as well.
So there's a virus called herpes simplex virus. So this virus typically affects your cornea. Okay, since I'm a cornea specialist as well, so I deal with these cases a lot. So this affects your cornea, and it's sort of a permanent disease because this virus does not go away from your body. And it can cause scarring in the cornea, many complications in the cornea. We might even have to do a transplant if needed. So it's a complex disease caused by this kind of virus. When patients come to you and you see the previous document of the doctor, what your brain does is it moves you in that direction. And then when you see the patient, examine the patient on the slit lamp, your mind will always start looking for findings which support that diagnosis. Rather than thinking from a fresh perspective, you're already thinking about something which the other doctor has thought of. So I never see the documents of the patient before I see the patient, because I want to give a fresh perspective. And so many times misdiagnoses happen, not just in eye, but in many other fields as well. Okay, वहाँ तो ये बताया था, यहाँ पर ये बताया. And that misdiagnosis keeps happening repeatedly if you fall for the trap of diagnostic momentum, that you think that this is the diagnosis, so automatically your mind thinks हाँ वो तो सही सोचा है दूसरे डॉक्टर ने. But actually अगर आप fresh perspective से देखोगे तो there will be many things that other doctor might have missed, and you will see, and you might come to the right diagnosis.
Right diagnosis, right, sir. So, sir, in your practice, what are some of the latest diagnostic tools which have helped you to enhance your practice?
इनोवेशन तो हेल्थ केयर में जितना फास्ट हो रहा है, आई थिंक एआई में और हेल्थ केयर दो जगहों पर इनोवेशन सबसे फास्ट हो रहा है. सो सम ऑफ द डायग्नोस्टिक टूल्स दैट हैव एनहांस्ड द प्रैक्टिसेस, वन इज ड्राई आई मैनेजमेंट इन्वेस्टिगेशन टूल. सो आजकल ड्राई आइज की प्रॉब्लम भी बहुत बढ़ रही है, एंड पेशेंट्स वांट टू क्वांटिफाई कि मुझे ड्राई आइज कितना है. उसके हिसाब से हम अपना ट्रीटमेंट भी पर्सनलाइज कस्टमाइज कर सकते हैं. तो ये जो डायग्नोस्टिक टूल्स हैं, दे टेल अस अबाउट कि हमारे मेमोबियन ग्लैंड्स का क्या स्ट्रक्चर चल रहा है, हमारे ब्लिंक रेट कैसा है, हमारी ब्लिंकिंग इनकम्प्लीट तो नहीं हो रही, कंप्लीट हो रही है, हमारे जो एक्वस लेयर ऑफ टीयर फिल्म है उसकी हेल्थ कैसी है. सो द डायग्नोस्टिक टूल फॉर ड्राई आई हैज़ रियली हेल्प्ड एंड एनहांस्ड आवर क्लिनिक. Second is, I would say कि cornea diagnostics has helped us a lot, like Pentacam. So I use Pentacam even for my cataract patients, because cataract surgery has now become sort of a refractive surgery. Patient wants independence from glasses also. Cataract का aim होता है cataract हटाकर and you need to clear the vision. But now the patient wants clear vision without glasses. And for that, your accuracy of IOL power calculation has become even more important, and that has really helped us, the Pentacam as well as the IOL Master, these two tools, combining them to treat every multifocal patient, the toric patient, any premium IOL, to get the bang on biometry and get the right lens power for the patient. आजकल सर्जरी एक्चुअल सर्जरी जो है वो ईजी हो गई है, बिकॉज द मशीन्स हैव बिकम सो मच बेटर. I won't say easy, but it's not that difficult now. But the challenge comes कि लेंस की पावर करेक्ट होनी चाहिए, और वो मेरे हाथ में नहीं है, वो मशीन बता रही है. अगर उसने ही गलत बताया तो ऑब्वियसली द लेंस पावर इज रॉन्ग, देन द पेशेंट इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैव कंप्लीट ग्लास फ्री एक्सपीरियंस. एंड देयरफॉर इट बिकम्स इम्पॉर्टेंट कि कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी में आपको ट्रीटमेंट बहुत पर्सनलाइज करना पड़ता है आज के टाइम में. यू हैव टू डिस्कस विद द पेशेंट उसको क्या चाहिए. अभी रिसेंटली आई हैड अ पेशेंट who loves to play golf, okay, and he wanted independence from glasses. But if we would have gone for a multifocal trifocal lens, तो trifocal lens में ना 3 focus होते हैं. He might have had difficulty in golf because वो कितनी दूरी पे अपने क्लब से हिट करते हैं. मल्टीफोकल पे वहाँ पर फोकल पॉइंट बैठेगा या नहीं पता. तो उनको अगर उसमें शार्पनेस नहीं मिल रही, he would not enjoy it. So we went for an EDOF lens, extended depth of focus lens, which would give him clear range of vision to up till little bit reading का थोड़ा सा नंबर रहता है. But for his golf, he's very happy. And even near का भी खैर नंबर नहीं आया, because after doing both the eyes, they adjusted the power in such a way. But he's very happy because उनका golf game बहुत improve हो गया है post surgery, as well as he's managing without glasses almost all his activities. So here customization is the one thing which is the new revolution in healthcare, in other fields also, but in eye care especially, that you have to give time to the patient. You have to discuss what the patient wants. It can't be कि आओ cataract surgery करवाओ जाओ, नहीं. You have to discuss क्या चाहिए आपको. Distance के लिए glasses हटवाने हैं, दूर पास दोनों के हटवाने हैं, या आपको ग्लासेस लगाने से कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. ड्राइविंग कितनी करते हो, मोबाइल कितना यूज़ करते हो, लैपटॉप कितना यूज़ करते हो, उन सब के बेसिस पे आपको डिसीजन लेना है. एंड इट हैज़ टू बी इन एग्रीमेंट विद द पेशेंट, नॉट द डॉक्टर अलोन. पेशेंट इज द डिसीजन मेकर नाउ.
So, sir, now from diagnostics, if we move on to the surgical system, sir, as a surgeon, what is your approach during surgery?
राइट. सो सर्जन्स के लिए ना कई चीज़ें बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट होती हैं, बिकॉज एक तो पेशेंट्स को लगता है कि मेरे पड़ोसी का भी तो अभी हुआ था, उसका तो 5 मिनट में हो गया, मुझे 10 मिनट क्यों लग गए. ठीक है. आजकल तो कैटरेक्ट बहुत सिंपल हो गया है, लेज़र सर्जरी का तो 0 साइड इफ़ेक्ट्स हैं. सो एक तो बहुत ज़्यादा ना पेशेंट्स जब सोचते हैं तो वो एनेक्डोटल तरीके से सोचते हैं. एनेक्डोटल का मतलब ये है कि वो अपने किसी रिलेटिव, पड़ोसी या नोन टू के एक्सपीरियंस से को अपने पे अप्लाई करते हैं कि उसका ऐसे हुआ था तो मेरा भी ऐसे ही होना चाहिए. सर्जन्स जब सोचते हैं तो वो बहुत ही डिफरेंट तरीके से सोचते हैं. वो आउटकम्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सोचते हैं कि अगर मैंने 1000 पेशेंट्स को ट्रीट किया है तो उसमें मेरे 1000 में से कितने पेशेंट्स में कॉम्प्लिकेशन में लैंड अप किया मैं, उनमें से क्या फैक्टर्स थे जिसकी वजह से कॉम्प्लिकेशन हुई, और मैं फर्दर वो कॉम्प्लिकेशन होने से कैसे रोक सकता हूँ. अब एक ही पेशेंट की जब 2 आइज़ भी ऑपरेट हो रही होती है ना, तो दोनों आइज़ का कैटरैक्ट बिल्कुल डिफरेंट हो सकता है, राइट. बट पेशेंट ये नहीं समझता है. पेशेंट को लगता है कि मुझे सेकेंड आई जब करवाई तो ज़्यादा दर्द हुआ, ज़्यादा पेन हुआ, ज़्यादा टाइम लगा, फर्स्ट टाइम में तो कुछ पता ही नहीं चला था. एंड दिस इज़ अ कॉमन फिनोमेना एक्चुअली. 80% ऑफ द पेशेंट्स फील दैट. उसका रीज़न ये है, फर्स्ट टाइम जब जाते हैं तो एप्रहेंसिव होते हैं, साइकोलॉजिकली थोड़ा होता है कि थोड़ा सा पेन होता है तो सहन कर लेते हैं, लगता है कि इतना तो पेन नहीं हुआ जितना हमने सोचा था. सेकेंड में जाते हैं तो साइकोलॉजी बदल गई होती है कि कुछ पेन ही नहीं होता है, तो हल्का सा भी फील होता है तो लगता है कि ये तो पेन हो रहा है,
पेन हो रहा है.
राइट. सो सर्जन्स जब ऑपरेट करने में जाता हूँ, स्पेशली अगर कोई कॉम्प्लेक्स केस है, तो एक टेक्निक हम यूज़ करते हैं जिसको मैं रिकमेंड करूँगा कि यंग सर्जन्स शुड फॉलो दिस, इज़ विजुअलाइजेशन टेक्निक. So when I'm scrubbing and even before I'm scrubbing, if it's a atypical case, I will watch 5 videos of that previous night or in the morning on YouTube. या अपने भी कोई पुराने वीडियोज़ हैं तो वो देख लूँगा. और इसमें कोई शेम नहीं है. There's no ego when you are a surgeon. You have to think of the patient first. If you feel कि किसी स्टेप को आपने बहुत टाइम से नहीं किया है या ये कॉम्प्लेक्स केस है एंड आई शुड लर्न फ्रॉम सम सीनियर सर्जन हु हैज़ बीन डूइंग दीज केसेस मच लॉन्गर देन मी, देन वेलकम, यू हैव टू लर्न. सो वहाँ पर एक तो आप विजुअलाइज कर रहे होते हो कि जब आप वो स्टेप करोगे तो आप कैसे अपना हैंड मैनूवर करोगे, क्या आप एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हो कि पेशेंट के आई में कैसा मूवमेंट होगा, आप अपने हैंड से यहाँ पर इंस्ट्रूमेंट को कैसे ले जाओगे, उसका क्या रिजल्ट रहेगा. ये कॉम्प्लिकेशन हुई तो आप उसको कैसे मैनेज करने का पहले से ही प्लान सोच के रखते हो. Then when I'm scrubbing for the case, then I'm repeating those steps in my mind. I'm visualizing myself doing it. Every step I'm visualizing in my mind that my hand will move this way, my hand will move this way. इस step के बाद भी मैं next step ये करूँगा जो कि मैं normally नहीं करता हूँ, पर इस case में ये करना ज़रूरी है. So it does not, मतलब you don't take it lightly at all. And any little bit of variation in the case, you visualize in your mind कि how you are going to do that step, what thing you are going to be careful for. It's not like कि patient आया और start कर दिया और हो गया. बहुत उसकी प्लानिंग माइंड में चलते रहती है. एंड दिस कीप्स ऑन हैपनिंग ऑलमोस्ट एवरी डे.
So, sir, I have heard your talk on DASP technique, which you use for the refractive surgeries.
Right.
So, sir, what were the problems you were trying to solve when you innovated this technique?
So DASP is double anterior, single posterior delineation technique for your smile, silk and clear surgeries. तो ये स्माइल, सिल्क और क्लियर सर्जरीज में ना एक स्टेप होता है जिसमें हम डिसेक्शन करते हैं लेंटिक्यूल का, which is there in your cornea when you do the laser. The laser has cut a lenticule, which is like a disc-shaped thing, and we have to dissect it out, make it free from at all ends, and then we have to pull it out, and that corrects your power. So what I felt was जब initially मैंने ये procedures करने शुरू किए थे, I started with smile surgery, तो I felt even some of the senior surgeons, they were landing up with complications क्योंकि dissection lenticule का वो properly नहीं हो पाता था. तो उसमें क्या दिक्कत होती है कि उसके 2 surface होते हैं कि anterior और posterior. हमें पहले anterior surface को dissect करना है और बाद में posterior को करना है. पर अगर सर्जन ने पहले posterior dissect कर दिया तो वो lenticule ऊपर चिपक जाएगा और वो निकल नहीं पाता है. यू कांट टेक इट आउट ईजिली, वरना वो ब्रेक होता है, बहुत डिफिकल्टी आती है, मैनिपुलेशन होती है, रिजल्ट्स डाउन हो जाते हैं. सो व्हाट आई डिड इज दैट आई मॉडिफाइड द टेक्निक ऑफ हाउ वी डिसेक्ट. डबल एंटीरियर मतलब हम 2 एरियाज एंटीरियर डिसेक्शन के लिए रखते हैं, जिससे कि अगर एक एरिया से आपने गलत भी एंट्री कर ली तो दूसरे एरिया से आपको सही प्लेन मिल जाता है एंटीरियर वाला. ओके, एंड बिकॉज आपके 2 एरियाज होते हैं एंटीरियर डिसेक्शन के, आपकी वो गलती होती ही नहीं, क्योंकि उसमें इस टेक्निक पे आपको 2-3 बार चेक पॉइंट्स मिल जाते हैं कि आप सही प्लेन एंटीरियर वाले में ही जा रहे हो पहले. सो व्हाट दिस हेल्प मी इन इज कि आई वाज सीइंग जो न्यू सर्जन्स थे, they were landing up with dissection problems in almost every 10 to 15 cases. Older surgeons, जो थे senior surgeons, they were landing up with this dissection problem in 1 in 50 cases probably. When I started doing this, the next 100 case, and even till now, I have not had one case of, lenticule misdissection, जिसमें मुझे dissection में problem आई है. So I feel it is a very safe technique. और यंग सर्जन्स जो न्यूली लर्न कर रहे हैं लेंटिकुलर प्रोसीजर्स को, ये स्माइल सिल्क क्लियर टाइप ऑफ प्रोसीजर्स को, उनके लिए ये सर्जरी को बहुत आसान बना देता है. इट मेक्स इट सो ईजी फॉर देम दैट यू नेवर लैंड अप विद कॉम्प्लिकेशन बिकॉज ऑफ द लेंटिक्यूल डिसेक्शन प्रॉब्लम for the patient, and the patients have very good outcomes.
So sir, what is the learning curve of this technique for the younger surgeons?
So learning curve is very short actually, because इसमें जो first part है लेंटिकुलर सर्जरीज का, वो पार्ट का थोड़ा सा लर्निंग कर्व होता है कि आप डॉकिंग कैसे करोगे मशीन पे, एंड देन व्हेन द लेज़र टेक्स प्लेस व्हाट इंस्ट्रक्शंस यू हैव टू गिव टू द पेशेंट, हाउ वेट द कॉर्निया शुड बी, हाउ यू हैंडल फॉर द एस्टिग्मेटिज्म. वो पार्ट अगर हो गया डिसेक्शन वाला पार्ट, सो डिसेक्शन करने में जो डिफ़िकल्टी आती है रूटीन टेक्निक में, उसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है कि ये आइडेंटिफाई कर पाना मुश्किल हो जाता है कि एंटीरियर प्लेन में जा रहे हो आप या पोस्टीरियर प्लेन में, बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी थिन लेंटिक्यूल. तो आपको पता ही नहीं चलता कि इंस्ट्रूमेंट एंटीरियर प्लेन में गया है या पोस्टीरियर में. उसके कुछ साइंस हैं आइडेंटिफाई करने के, लेकिन वो साइंस नए सर्जन के लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट हैं टू आइडेंटिफाई एक्चुअली. सो विद दिस टेक्निक, for them to identify the correct plane becomes so much easier, because the maneuvering of the instruments for anterior and posterior plane is kept different. So उनका learning curve बहुत short हो जाता है. In fact, I started doing this technique when I had done only 5 cases. So I innovated it very early because I saw that others were having this problem. So I thought, why not try this? When I started trying this, I felt कि यार इससे तो मेरा बहुत आसान हो गया है. मुझे कभी कन्फ्यूजन ही नहीं होता कि मैं इंटीरियर प्लेन में हूँ या पोस्टीरियर प्लेन में. मुझे शॉर्ट पता होता है कि मैं इंटीरियर प्लेन में हूँ. सो दैट्स वाई आई फेल्ट कि इससे मेरा लर्निंग का बहुत शॉर्ट हो गया, एंड आई नेवर लैंडेड अप फॉर्चुनेटली विद एनी मिस डिसेक्शन, जिसमें पेशेंट को, रिफ्रैक्टिव सर्जरी वाले पेशेंट को नेक्स्ट डे फेस करना बड़ा डिफिकल्ट होता है अगर नेक्स्ट डे विजन 6/6 ना हो तो. सो एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर सो हाई. सो आई वॉज एबल टू फुलफिल दोज एक्सपेक्टेशंस, एंड आई वॉज हैप्पी कि आई हैव नेवर लैंडेड अप विद कॉम्प्लिकेशन विद दिस टेक्निक. एंड आई फील वेरी यंग सर्जन, जब मैंने ही 5 केसेस के बाद स्टार्ट कर दिया था, तो आई वॉज ऑल्सो लर्निंग एट दैट टाइम, एंड आई वॉज एबल टू अडेप्ट इट वेरी क्विकली.
So sir, as you have mentioned, like there is a growth in like healthcare also and AI also. Sir, within 5 to 10 years, combining with AI, how surgeons' role is going to be evolved?
सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, पेशेंट्स को जो मिसकंसेप्शन होता है ना, वो एक तो ये है कि लेज़र सर्जरी है या रोबोटिक सर्जरी है, तो पेशेंट को लगता है कि सब कुछ रोबोट कर रहा होगा या लेज़र कर रहा होगा, सर्जन तो वहाँ चाय पी रहा होगा पीछे बैठकर. लेकिन ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, लेज़र सर्जरी में, जो कैटरैक्ट या रिफ्रैक्टिव सर्जरी में लेज़र सर्जरी होती है, उसमें सिर्फ 2-3 स्टेप्स ही लेज़र करता है. बाकी ऑलमोस्ट 70% काम सर्जन ही करता है. और जब लेज़र भी वो स्टेप्स करता है, तो सर्जन हैज़ टू हैंडल दो स्टेप्स दैट दे आर बीइंग डन प्रॉपरली. लूज तो नहीं हो रहा है सक्शन, कोई ब्रेक तो नहीं आ रहा है लेज़र में. सो मैनी थिंग्स द सर्जन हैज़ टू सी एट दैट टाइम, एंड 70% ऑफ द वर्क स्टिल द सर्जन हैज़ टू डू. सो दिस मिसकंसेप्शन इज देयर कि लेज़र सर्जरी में सब कुछ लेज़र से हो रहा है. एब्सोल्युटली रॉन्ग, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, रोबोटिक सर्जरी में भी रोबोट को सर्जन ही कंट्रोल कर रहा होता है, वेदर इट्स यूरो सर्जरी और गैस्ट्रो सर्जरी. इन फ्यूचर उसका ये डेवलपमेंट ज़रूर हो सकता है कि सर्जन रिमोटली उसको रोबोट को चला रहा है. कि मतलब देयर वाज वन रीसेंट केस इन विच चाइना में था और यूरोप से कंट्रोल कर रहे थे रोबोट को. बट दैट दोज थिंग्स विल कीप ऑन इवॉल्विंग, एंड दीज टूल्स आर ओनली गोइंग टू एनहांस द सर्जन, नॉट that they are competitor. No, they are going to enhance your surgery. They are going to improve the outcomes of the patient. They are going to make the surgery easier for the surgeon rather. उसका learning curve रहेगा, लेकिन eventually patient और surgeon दोनों का ही benefit है, कोई नुकसान नहीं है किसी का, right? And India जैसी country में I feel कि इन सब चीज़ों के साथ साथ हमें cost का भी बहुत consideration रखना होगा, because if these surgeries and treatments remain very expensive, then they are not going to be fruitful in that manner. They might work in Western countries where the population is less. They have to do only 2 surgeries in a day. Here we have to do 10 surgeries in a day. If the time taken is more, if the cost is very high, then patients are still not going to go for those type of surgeries. And eventually I feel कि जब competition बढ़ेगा तो cost भी कम होने लग जाएगा.
Sir, as per from the Indian context, sir, like Western models of healthcare are still advanced, like they are 10 to 15 years advanced in India. So, according to your perspective, what is the current healthcare landscape in India right now?
So Satyam, when you say that Western models are 10 to 15 years advanced, then you're absolutely wrong. Okay, Indian healthcare is at par and in some scenarios ahead of the Western world. You know, a lot of the machines are introduced in India before they are even introduced in Europe and US. We are able to technologically advance at a fast pace because it's unfortunate also in some ways that the regulations are slightly lesser in India. Okay, so I feel there has to be some safety benchmark that is established and then the technology can be introduced. Smile India में 2008 में आ गया था, US में 2014 में FDA approval मिला. 6 years later, कई सारी surgeries का अभी भी नहीं मिला है. तो इंडिया, और ये सभी फील्ड में है कि इंडिया टेक्नोलॉजिकली उतना ही एडवांस है जितना वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड है और कई केसेस में उससे ज़्यादा. ऑल्सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ इनोवेशन एंड रिसर्च ऑल्सो इंडिया इज़ वे अहेड एक्चुअली. आई विल टेल यू बिकॉज पब्लिकेशन वाइज अगर आप देखो तो इंडिया से नंबर ऑफ पब्लिकेशंस आर ह्यूज, मैसिव. और उसका सबसे बड़ा रीज़न वी हैव द पॉपुलेशन. सो अगर वहाँ पर वो दिन में एक डायबिटिक पेशेंट देखते हैं, मैं दिन के 5 डायबिटिक पेशेंट्स देखता हूँ. गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल वाला एक दिन में 50 डायबिटिक पेशेंट्स देखता है, राइट. सो इफ यू आर गोइंग टू हैव मोर डेटा, यू कैन प्रोड्यूस मोर रिसर्च, यू कैन डू एवेलुएट कि इस ट्रीटमेंट को उस ट्रीटमेंट से कंपेयर करेंगे तो क्या रिजल्ट आएगा. उनकी स्टडीज़ में, वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड की स्टडीज़ में कंपैरिजन होता है 30 पेशेंट्स का, हमारे यहाँ होता है 300 पेशेंट्स का, राइट. सो हेल्थ केयर के मामले में इंडिया इज़ एट अ बूम. एंड if you ask any patient whose sons and daughters are living abroad, they might be living abroad but they come back to India to get their treatment done because they know the reality that India में किसी चीज़ की कमी नहीं है and the cost is significantly lower than the Western world with a zero waiting time, right. You can go at 9 o'clock and look at Google and say कि मुझे इस टाइम पे एक गैस्ट्रोएंट्रोलॉजिस्ट चाहिए, एक ऑफ्थेल्मोलॉजिस्ट चाहिए, वो आपको 5 नाम दिखा देगा जो अभी अवेलेबल हैं, राइट. वो वहाँ नहीं कर सकते आप. यू कैन डू दैट. 3 weeks बाद का अपॉइंटमेंट, यूएस में तो 3 months बाद का अपॉइंटमेंट मिलेगा.
As a surgeon, like how young surgeons can collaborate to move on a more better path for this field in future?
So I think पहले तो सत्यम surgeons या doctors in general have to decide which path they want to take. Whether they want to take the path of institute and going into research, or they want to go towards the path of government service. Along with, you can do a lot of research in government service as well. AIIMS produces the maximum number of papers actually, and even other medical institutions produce a lot of research work. Or you want to go to a corporate, or you want to go to a private practice, right? So once you have chosen one path, and you don't have to make that decision early, you can experience some for a year there, for a year there, wherever you feel that this is the right fit for me, you can choose that path. And that doesn't mean that you cannot do the other thing, right? कि मतलब अगर आप रिसर्च प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिस में हो तो भी आप रिसर्च कर सकते हो, तो भी आपकी जब प्रैक्टिस ग्रो होगी, यू विल हैव सफिशिएंट पेशेंट्स जिन पे आप कई तरह की स्टडीज़ कर सकते हो, कई तरह के रिसर्च पेपर्स निकाल सकते हो. फॉर दैट योर थिंकिंग हैज़ टू बी इन दैट डायरेक्शन. इफ़ योर थिंकिंग इज़ ओनली इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ कि मुझे प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिस ही चलानी है, मुझे कोई रिसर्च और उससे मतलब नहीं है, दैट इज़ ऑल्सो फाइन. दैट इज़ योर पर्सनल चॉइस. यू हैव टू इवेंचुअली लर्न to do what makes you happy and not what you think others think will make you happy, right? And यहाँ पर collaborate करने का point वही आता है कि even if you are in private practice, you can collaborate with 5 other private practitioners कि let's collaborate our data of all cataract surgeries with this lens we have put, and let's collaborate our data of 500 cases combined of 5 private practitioners, and we have done that. and see what are the results now. This is a new lens that has come up, and let's see the results. And अब एक सेंटर से आप डेटा कलेक्ट करोगे तो ऑब्वियसली लिमिटेड होगा, बट आप 5 प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिशनर से कोलैबोरेट करके करोगे, एवरीवन इज इंटरेस्टेड, बिकॉज इतना उनको ये नहीं है कि दे आर योर कॉम्पिटिटर्स. इवन व्हेन वी आर सिटिंग 1 किलोमीटर अवे, 500 meters away, we are not competitors, we are colleagues, right? And you have to think like that only, otherwise you cannot grow. This is not a zero sum game. Healthcare or any industry is not a zero sum game कि मैं ऊपर जाऊंगा तो दूसरा नीचे आना चाहिए. हम दोनों साथ में ऊपर जा सकते हैं. I can collaborate with a government institute person also कि यार you are doing a study on this, let's collaborate. I can do a collaboration with another field, someone from a cardiologist, or my brother is a urologist. We can sit in a podcast and discuss the issues related to the medical field or related to urology or ophthalmology, and what the general public and the questions come to my mind. Because when I am sitting in front of him, I am a layman in terms of urology. So I'll ask the questions which I feel a normal person would ask, and he would ask me eye-related questions which a normal person could ask. So there are multiple ways in which you can collaborate. But the most important aspect is to develop that thinking, that you're not looking at a competitor. You're looking at a colleague with which you can grow together.
So, sir, as we were talking about the Western models and the Indian models, sir, my question is, what West can learn from India?
I think the biggest thing that the West can learn is man management. How to handle cases in volume. So, there are a lot of reels on this and a joke on this, that when a patient walks into any hospital in US, they are very happy when the doctor walks in and that doctor is an Indian doctor, because now they know they are in good hands. And most of the doctors there in US are ones who have done MBBS here, and then they have shifted for their post graduation to US, right? So their ethos and their work ethic is what they have built in MBBS here, and they have a very strong work ethic, right? So the learning capabilities, dealing with high volume of patients, handling high volume of patients, quick thinking, quick decision making process is very good. So what the West, because this we face every day in the clinic, that patients come to us, even sometimes call from Canada, US, UK, that हमारी आई में ये प्रॉब्लम हो गई है एंड वी आर नॉट एबल टू गेट एन अपॉइंटमेंट विद अ स्पेशलिस्ट फॉर द नेक्स्ट 3 weeks. आप हमें बता सकते हो क्या कर सकते हैं ट्रीटमेंट इन द मीन वाइल, एंड वी गेट ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशंस फॉर दैट एंड सो मैनी अदर थिंग्स. बट द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम हैपन्स इज कि इवन फॉर they handle emergencies very well, but their specialist appointments and all those things are very, very delayed, and sometimes that becomes a problem. And obviously when it comes to healthcare, patient wants immediate relief. अब आपको पेट में दर्द है तो आपको 2 हफ्ते बाद थोड़ी ना उसका ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए, आपको इमीडिएट चाहिए, राइट? सो इसलिए इंडिया से जो सीख सकते हैं वो यही है कि हाउ टू हैंडल larger loads of patients in an effective manner. If you look at the results, even in Indian scenario, the results of surgeons are excellent. They are no less than what they are in the Western world, while they are handling a much higher volume. They are excellent results. And the reason is that they have been trained from the beginning to handle that workload, and they are able to handle it very well.
So, sir, now we have talked about your professional life, like as a surgeon or as a doctor. Now I want to talk to you as I am sitting next to a person. Sir, according to your perspective, sir, what is a meaningful life?
So that's a very interesting question, Satyam, and not an easy answer to this. And I have also thought about it multiple times, because I love reading, non-medical books and a lot of personal growth kind of books, spiritual as well. There's no single answer to it. But what I have realized is that the times where I have had difficulty in dealing with things, or, not been happy, are the times when I have been not living my life, but comparing my life with someone else. Okay. So that puts in a different perspective, that you feel somewhere that you are disadvantaged, while you might be advantaged as compared to other people 1,000 times. and you might be disadvantaged as compared to someone else, 100 times. Everyone has a different starting line, right? So that comparison can never be the same, because by the time you are born, you are following a different path. But when your lives touch, you don't know the previous path. You feel that, okay, this person is already doing this much, and I have not reached there. Right? So that comparison has to never come. And slowly, I have learned not to compare myself with others, but only to compare myself to my previous self. And that if I am on the right path, if I am able to go home and sleep peacefully, then there's no need for me to be unhappy about it. And if you ask me in terms of, purpose of life, a lot of people might hate me for saying this, especially when everyone defines success in, different ways, that, you should have this much money, you should have build a legacy for yourself, you should have a name which is remembered by next generations and everything. I feel that I used to think in that manner, but with time and with age and with experience, my thinking has been that the purpose of life is to live it in a very happy manner, right? Just to be happy. And now you have to define what gives you happiness. It can be money, it can be fame, it can be, success in your academic field. But if you don't follow your definition and you follow other people's definition, you will never find that happiness. And the biggest thing about happiness is that it's not a destination. You have to enjoy it every day. So I love spending time with my daughter, whatever little time I get. And that's the happiest that I am. And second happiest I am is in the clinic when I'm talking to patients, not doing surgery. But when I'm talking to patients, listening to their problems, they go back saying that, सर आपने जितने अच्छे से देखा है, जितने अच्छे से बताया है, समझाया है, जैसा समझाया वैसा किसी ने नहीं समझाया. And that gives you happiness. Now I'm not going to compare or someone might say कि ये तो बहुत छोटी सी बात है, इसमें क्या इतना खुश होना. But I'm not going to demean it. To me, that is very valuable. And if you can find things that you value and you can stick to them every day of your life, then there is nothing more fulfilling than that. So find the things that you value and start living that every day. And that's going to give you the purpose in life. Not what someone else defines as, earning so much money or, your name featuring somewhere. All those things are secondary and they fade away. And that is just ego boosting. Creating a bubble around you. Ke, I've become successful because I'm featured here. I have so many followers. I have this, that. All that fades away. It's your internal peace, your things that you value that give you happiness.
So, sir, as you said, you like reading personal development and spirituality kind of books. Sir, what are the books you can recommend to surgeon other than the medico books?
So, एक तो हमारे लिए ये बहुत होता है कि मेडिकल बुक्स ही इतनी सारी होती हैं, मतलब इतनी सारी बुक्स होती हैं, और वो भी ऐसा नहीं कि आपका MBBS PG ख़त्म हो गया तो उसके बाद पढ़ना बंद है. इवन टुडे आई हैव टू ऑलमोस्ट एवरी थर्ड डे आई हैव टू रीड सम आर्टिकल और समथिंग एल्स. उसको टाइम देना ही पड़ता है क्योंकि कुछ नया आ रहा है तो सीखना ही पड़ेगा. So we don't get that much time to read, especially in our MBBS and post-graduation when the residency is very tough on you. But I regret this, that I did not read a lot of non-medical things when I was younger. If I would have read them maybe in my early 20s or late teens, even mid-20s, I would have not made so many mistakes that I have made. Right? And my thinking and everything would have been very different. So 5 books that I can recommend for, doctors, young doctors, budding doctors, and I would recommend that they read it as early as possible in their career. One would be obviously How to Win Friends and Influence People, because our field is the one dealing with people and patients all the time. And it's sort of, unless you learn those things, that how your communication, today's medical field is less about treatment and whether you can treat the patient right or not. It's more about how you communicate with the patient. And the communication acts as, 1/3 of the treatment itself. So for communication, this is one of the most effective books. Second, I would say, very important is Never Split the Difference. So this book tells you how to negotiate in your life. negotiate when you are going for your job, negotiate when you are dealing, having a deal as an entrepreneur, negotiate in your daily life with your partner, with your daughter, you know. And it gives a very practical advice in terms of what you should focus on when you are negotiating with someone, and where you should draw the line, and how you should evaluate your own worth and value. And you'll never make a mistake in terms of, no one will be able to cheat you when they are hiring you. They'll give you a low ball salary offer and you take it thinking, oh, it's very good. But unless you know how to negotiate, you'll not be able to, grow as fast as you can. Third one I would say is Life's Amazing Secrets by Gaur Gopal Das. I keep listening to his videos as well. And it just tells you how to be at peace with things. And something that makes how to make life easier, not to complicate it too much. And that's what we tend to do. We overthink. We think that what is happening right now is of so much value. And 3 years down the line, we don't even remember aisa kuch hua tha. Right? So it tells you how to remove that noise and focus on what's important. Fourth one I would say is, slow and fast thinking. So for people who are going into research, academics, it really helps you in terms of how to open up your mind and start thinking differently, out of the box, and how you should give time to spend with yourself. That's what we don't do. We don't spend time with yourself. We don't spend time with ourselves. We always keep comparing others. हमारे माइंड में ना और लोगों की चीज़ें ज़्यादा घूमते रहती हैं हर टाइम, जबकि आप अपने बारे में सोचो, आपने क्या किया और आप क्या करने वाले हो कल. That is the most important thing. And the last one, I would say, the fifth one would be Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it taught me how everyone has a different starting line, how where you think someone else has reached had very different parameters and path from what you are taking. And the destination does not matter, but you have to choose your path very carefully by not comparing with others. And one bonus book which I feel is very very important, because हम medicos ना फाइनेंस के मामले में बिल्कुल ज़ीरो होते हैं, बहुत लेट जाके सीखते हैं, क्योंकि पढ़ाई इतनी होती है और फाइनेंस की चीज़ें भूल ही जाते हैं, मतलब बिल्कुल ना. और फाइनेंस सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है लाइफ का, नॉट जस्ट फॉर कि मनी इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट फाइनेंस मैनेज करना इंपॉर्टेंट है. उसके लिए साइकोलॉजी ऑफ मनी इज़ लाइक द बेस्ट बुक. It does not tell you where to invest, what to invest. It tells you how to think about money. So I think these 6 books will do wonders for you. अगर आप इसको younger life में पढ़ लोगे तो आपकी growth trajectory ना बहुत fast हो जाएगी, and your clarity of thought is going to become very refined at a very early age.
So, sir, what mistakes a 25-year-old makes, and what would be your one piece of advice to that person?
I think a lot of mistakes that the younger people make, I have also made a lot of mistakes when I was young. Still I make every day, and it's a learning process. Making mistakes is not the problem. The problem is that when we keep regretting on that mistake, okay, we need to learn from it and move on. Make a fresh mistake again. Learn from it, move on. But if you ask me, then the biggest mistake I feel that I have seen a lot of people around me make is that they get influenced a lot by what they see around them. Okay, so they have to make their thinking a little bigger. क्या होता है कि जब हम किसी भी फील्ड में कहीं पर भी वर्किंग होते हैं, तो जो हमारे आसपास लोग होते हैं उनमें से कुछ लोग बहुत अच्छे लेवल पे होते हैं, कुछ लोग थोड़ा मिडिल लेवल पे होते हैं, कुछ लोग नहीं होते हैं मिडिल लेवल. हम लोग जो सबसे अच्छे लोग होते हैं उनको अपना एक तरह से ये गॉड मान लेते हैं कि हमें वैसा ही बनना है. बट आई थिंक कि जब when I moved from different institutes, I've realized that there are a lot of different people with lot of different abilities, different skill sets, different thought processes, different success parameters. And what that has helped me in developing is to become your own individual. When you try to emulate someone else, you forget who you are. And what someone else might be doing may not give you happiness. You think that it will give you happiness, but it usually does not. Because you might value something else as compared to them. But वो उस time पे समझ नहीं आता है. And you try to emulate them. So it's very important to find good mentors. That's the most important and single advice that I'll give. Find good mentors. But the mentors, you should not try to just emulate them. You should try that you grow into your own individual with the help of those mentors. And you should become your own person and create your own path rather than just following someone else. Because बाद में realize करते हो कि वो path जो लिया उनको follow करते करते या किसी को एक को follow करते करते वो path तो आप कभी चलना ही नहीं चाहते थे. ठीक है? तो इसलिए अपनी individuality को refine करते रहना, improve करते रहना और अपने आप को as an individual देखना rather than just a shadow of someone else. That is very important if a young person can do.
Thank you so much, sir, to be on the panels. It was an honor to have a conversation with you. It was a wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you, Satyam. Thank you for having me. And you asked very pertinent questions for young students also, for myself also. It gave me a lot of insight about myself, as well as, for the patients and our general audience, so that they don't make the mistakes that some of the patients make and they land up with the right doctor, with the right treatment and with the right solutions. Right. Thank you.